Everyone has skeletons in their closets. And these are Hannah's. I'm Meek and Nomicon. Now join me in the mind memory. Red. Red is all I've seen for the past few years. I don't remember the exact point in time, but slowly, things started to change for me. And now, I'm stuck in this endless cat and mouse game. But I don't know what I'm running from. I don't think I want to know. I can vaguely describe it though, just enough to get the basic outlines. And it's red. It haunts me. Sometimes it comes out of nowhere. Other times, it's like I was half expecting it. All I can say is that I can't keep going like this. I feel like something has just got to give, sooner or later. You think your luck is running out? Yeah. Something like that.
Hey! Are you listening?
Sorry. Just zoned out for a moment.
Yeah, we're all very aware of you zoning out. Remind me again, why it seems like you're the only one in the company who can't even pretend to stay focused during such an important presentation.
The office feels like a morgue, as all the other workers stare at Hannah.
To be honest, you should be working twice as hard as everyone else, considering your background.
Like he is in any position to judge. I mean, he's the one that got his big break selling expired phone cards to gullible street kids. Oh damn. Seems like we're already getting the skeletons from our boss's closet. You're right. I apologize. It won't happen again.
I've heard that before. Anyway, back to the task at hand. We've been very fortunate to have received a list of confidential recipients of welfare and recent reparation payments by the government for the mine closures.
Oh damn. I'm guessing we've got experience with those mine closures. You're not looking so hot, Hannah. No. They're not talking about, out of all the possible places.
As you know, the data shows the majority of these former mine workers are addicted to gambling, booze, girls, you name it. So, they're the perfect opportunity for our loans. The list is being passed around, so get calling.
Oh, we are scum. So wait, we're just gonna go around preying on people already in bad situations to give them loans they almost definitely will not be able to pay back? Hannah, why are we working here?
A few anecdotes here and there, and these cashed up losers will be signing up for our loans like it's nothing. You know the drill. You get a 10% cut of the loan amount as commission, as well as a cut of the loan repayments. But remember, if they default or run off without paying, that gets deducted from your total commission.
So wait, what incentive do we have from working it? By the sounds of it, it's purely commission-based. So, and let's face it, if we're only targeting the desperate people already in bad situations, most likely all of them are going to default on the payments, so we'll always be deducted. So how do we benefit from working here? Hannah, if you want to quit and say burn down this building, I'll give you an alibi. Screw these people. I can't. You okay? It's not a big deal. It's just that...
I know this one might hit a little close to home for some of you. Especially you, Hannah. But remember, this is the law of the jungle. Eat or be eaten.
Please tell me the boss gets eaten by the end of the game. I don't mind if it's fictive or literally. Just make him be eaten. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Not in front of everyone. Not in front of everyone. Not in... Why is this happening? Why did it have to be at... Enough! Just get out of here!
Hannah, where are you going?
Collections. Hannah leaves the office, visibly flustered. The city buzzes around her. Renewable energy targets to be discussed in the next... Latest reports show a chilling effect through the... Hannah arrives at CK's apartment, but he's not answering from the front entrance. Can't wait to get this over and done with. I'm assuming CK is someone we gave a loan to then. CK is such a pain to deal with. Hannah barges through the main entrance and walks up the stairs to CK's front door. CK, come out! I know you're in there somewhere! I'm going to find you anyway. Let's just make it easier for the both of us. Open up! The whole building is made from cheap materials, so Hannah easily breaks open the door. Okay, I'm inside now. Cough it up! Oh, come on, Hannah. We all can tell he definitely won't have the money. But please. What do you mean, please? Hurry up and get the money. Well, let me guess. You don't have it. No, I'm just waiting for the payout. They don't process it until... Bull. So, not only are you a worthless gambler, you're also a shameless liar. I mean, I'm kind of on... I'm not gonna say I'm on TK's side, because he did agree to take the loan in the first place. But let's face it, Hannah, you knew, most likely, that he was a gambler before you gave him the loan. So you should have expected that he probably was not ever gonna be able to pay this back. So, I'm not entirely on your side, Hannah. I mean, I am kind of judging your life choices for even doing this job, especially like I said, it's all commission-based. Don't worry though, CK. We only do business with the likes of you, anyway. It's our bread and butter. Now, I know you have some money on you. Scum like you always have a bit left of that one get out of jail bet. It just can't be helped, Hannah. When you've been dragged and bouted into a corner, sometimes you gotta fight. It's about dignity. Dignity, huh? What does that mean to you? It means knowing when to cut your losses. It means not being a deadbeat. Okay, so is Hannah gonna have like a parent who's a gambler or a deadbeat, as she's saying? Is that where most of her issues come from? I mean, he could have been a minor, I suppose. Speaking of which, so how much you got on you? Be honest. $80. It's all I got. It's every last penny I have. And you borrowed $500 from us. That amount barely even covers the interest, let alone the principal for this week's payment. Next week? next week, I got a surefire payment coming in. Just let me go this time, just once.
We wouldn't be in business if we just let people like you off the hook each time, would we?
Yeah, but...
You know, I noticed a new pair of sneakers at the front door. How about I take that $80 and those sneakers as well, as a reward for my generosity this time round? You'll pay me double next week.
No! Not the sneakers! The sneakers are my little brother's. He's been saving up for them for weeks, working the garbage routes.
Great! You can explain to him that having your hard work swept out from under you is a perk of having such a great brother like you.
Hannah, give it to me! It's not yours, it's ours! I know I'm useless. I know I'm a terrible brother, but please! I'm leaving, and you lot can rot for all I care. Blood is thicker than water. Bull! Please! I swear I'll pay you double next time. Just don't take the shoes. Oh, we actually get to choose if we take the shoes. You know, normally I don't condone your business practice, Hannah. So, I'm just gonna take the money. Oh, we could take nothing. You see, while I normally oppose of the business, I feel like we can't take nothing. I mean, it'd be better for him if we take nothing, but that may be just a weakness too far. Like, he might take advantage again. So if we just take the money, leave the shoes, I feel like that's, a moral line I can stand by. Alright. Hand that over. Hannah snatches the $80 out of CK's hands. If you don't have the money next week, you're going to wish I took the sneakers. Wait, so you're not going to take the sneakers? I swear to God, CK, if it turns out you were lying to me this time and you actually did waste money on buying the sneakers yourself, I don't know what I can do, but I'll do something to you, CK. Hannah barges out of the apartment, leaving the sneakers behind. Having finished the collection, Hannah decides to head home for the day. Hannah heads to the train station. The city bickers around her. The confrontations from earlier have drained her soul for the day, so she heads home. Can't wait to get home and get a break from all this bull. CK and now this mine closure stuff? I wonder if I'll recognize anyone on that list. Eat or be eaten, huh? So clearly then, either we used to work in the mines, or like I said, we had a family member that works there. I'd wager on our dad. The train station stinks of garbage and gasoline. Ah, the smell! I swear, every time I step foot in here, I miss the clean country air more and more. Huh? Like, do you know what an ounce is? Yeah. Nah, I swear you don't. Like, you know, selling an ounce. I told you I do. Then what is it then? Like, benching randoms on the street and making them go out. No, it isn't, you freaking baby. Oh, great. A bunch of try-hard street kids. If the smell wasn't enough,
Now we have the noises of these grating kids. Looks like everyone else is put off too.
I feel sorry for their parents.
What do you mean? They obviously don't.
What are you staring at? Yeah? That's what I thought. Keep walking, the lot of you. I know you're scared.
I know for a fact they'll be the first ones to pee their pants and run if someone actually does confront them.
You must be the kids of the protesters. Stop playing around here and go to school. You'll end up useless and bitter like your parents. The how did you say about my parents? Wait, what? What just happened? I don't want... It's just the stupid kids, they're annoying. Talking tough and being a nuisance to everyone around them. Wait, so do you reckon we were one of the street kids then? I mean, I'm assuming the memory we had, where they were bashing the parents, was directed towards us. Like, we were one of the kids just lingering around there. I mean, that could explain how we know about the boss. Like, if he tried to sell us one of those dodgy phone cards when we were a street kid. You make it sound like there's something about them you can't let go.
Yeah? I can't let go of their stench and the trail of paint fumes they leave wherever they go.
Anna, why does Dad's clothes always smell so gross and icky? Oh, we have a sibling as well then. Stupid kids! What is this feeling? Stop looking at me! Stop looking! What do you see in those eyes?
A little bit of... me.
Damn! Why would my mind just... I don't want to think about this. I don't want to think. Hannah turns pale and boards the train, staring straight down. For the rest of the train trip home, Hannah stays in the same mood. Hannah finally arrives at the front steps of her apartment. The apartment is right next to one of the major roads into the city, so the sounds of cars echoes and the stench of fumes is noxious. Although, the strays don't seem to mind. Hey, looking for some food? Psst, come over here, little doggy. I feel like we should feed the dog. Let's feed the dog. It gives us some moral balance, right? We've screwed over people's lives by giving them loans, and now we'll feed a stray dog. Listen, we've got to have good and bad in a person.
Come over here. I have some of my leftover lunch. Yeah, that's a good dog. Beautiful, innocent creatures. Especially strays like those. More resilient than those annoying kids from earlier. And virtually inhuman for that matter.
You know, I like to think that by feeding the stray dog, if and when I get attacked in the future, I will have someone to come and defend me. Providing we're anywhere close to our apartment, of course.
Hey, come back. I've got more.
The stray runs away, back into a dark alleyway. And the front door of Hannah's apartment are piles of letters bunched into her letterbox. These seem to be personal letters, addressed specifically to her.
How many freaking times do they need to send these things? They should take the hint already. Just leave me alone and let me live my life.
What are those letters?
Letters.
Letters from people that are close to me. But in reality, they don't give a crap. Dirty gamblers, boozers, freeloaders, a lot of them. They seem to care enough to be sending you lots of letters. I mean, that is a fair point. How long has the letters been sitting there? Like, it's not like we had quite a few. How long have they accumulated for? Yeah, and that's just the letters. Do you know how many emails and unsolicited phone calls I keep getting? Take the freaking hint! You should open some of them. Maybe they're genuinely trying to reach out. Just leave them be. It's too much effort to deal with anyway. I mean, no one's saying you have to respond to the letters, but for my own nosiness, I'd like you to read one. Hannah enters her apartment, the interior messy and chaotic, as per usual. Despite the good money she makes at her job, she tries to save every penny. Leftover cans of beer and clean plates litter the kitchen. However, there are clean and dirty areas in the apartment. For example, the balcony is spotless and clean. We have some weird priorities. We'll clean the balcony, but the kitchen can rot, basically. That's just very unhygienic. Please tell me we never cook. What a screwed up day. No matter though, booze and TV will do the trick. Hannah quickly drinks a can of beer. She opens another right afterwards. With the newly opened can in hand, she flips on the television with her feet. Today's headline is the recent reparation decision handed down by the court. All mine workers that lost their livelihoods due to the closures by the previous administration. Not more of this bull. Let me change the... The news is especially welcome for the residents at Karuga. The town came into the spotlight over a tragic mine collapse that caused the death of... You monsters killed him! You killed him! You've got blood on your hands, you filthy pigs! Hannah's breathing started to become more fast-paced. Her eyes fixate on the screen. The residents always claimed that the collapse was due to the lackluster maintenance of the mine by the operators. However, the operators claimed that the mine was deliberately neglected and sabotaged the facility, so an accident would occur. The operators argued that knowing the closure was imminent, the miners wanted some sort of incident they could exploit for more, quote, handouts and benefits. Of course, they stopped short of saying that they would sacrifice one of their own for such a purpose. Rather, it was the reckless actions of the miners that made these kinds of tragedies possible. And it was only a matter of time before something terrible happened. Nevertheless, such claims led to seething animosity from the miners, leading to even more violent protests than when the closures were initially announced. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. Freaking remember this crap! Those monsters killed him! Those monsters ruined my family! Everyone! They did this to us! Wait. He died from injuries sustained from the collapse. After a nightmarish 48 hours for the family in hospital, he tragically succumbed to his injuries. Hannah, let's go! He's going to be okay, right? He's a fighter. He's got this. We're back on the hill in no time. Hannah's breathing grows even more rapid, and the world around her begins to warp. She can't breathe. The world is spinning as butterfly-like flashes spread across her vision. I'm going to die. Ambulance. I'm dying. He'll be fine. He'll be... Hannah continues to hyperventilate as her vision worsens to the point of almost being blinded. ultimately faints, falling from her chair. Having badly hit her head on the cold tile flooring of her living room, Hannah begins to go in and out of consciousness. She starts to experience distorted flashbacks to memories she'd been trying hard to forget many years ago. The golden rays of the sunset disperse through the clouds. The glowing setting sun casts its light across the vast paddocks and hills. A glaring reflection shines from the bustling metropolis standing on the horizon.
Anna! Claude, what are you doing here? I told you not to follow me around without saying anything. It's annoying.
Sorry. It's just that I wanted to see what you were up to.
Then just ask me. You know I'm always happy to have you tag along with my little adventures.
Really?
Don't act that surprised. I'm pretty much your sister. I gotta show you the ropes of life. And the first lesson in life is, don't creep around following girls. Especially if that girl happens to be your awesome cousin who does cool crap you wouldn't be able to handle.
Okay. I'll do that next time. And stop calling me a scaredy cat.
Yeah, whatever, scaredy cat.
Hey, I heard you and the other older kids went into the mine the other day. I heard you pretty much turned one of the maintenance rooms into your own hangout. It's not going to end up being that when we went inside the mine we messed with something and that's actually what did cause the collapse in the end. I mean, that would explain our guilt over the situation. But then again, we said that the monsters killed him, not we killed him.
Who told you about that?
I think you know who.
Oh my god, he's such a blabbermouth. But trust me, you're not missing out on much. The mine's a complete wreck. It stinks, and everything is out of order. Ever since they said they were going to close the mine. You know, since the protests, the mine has been pretty much untouched.
I know. It still sounds pretty cool to check out, though. I mean, they confirmed it was a mine worker that died, right? I mean, I was getting a bad feeling that Claude was going to be the one that got trapped inside.
Trust me, as I said earlier, it's a gross mess. It's just some spot to kill time and do dumb crap in this godforsaken town. I wish we could just leave this crap hole.
What do you mean?
I mean, look at this view! See the city over there?
Uh-huh.
They call it the City of Dreams. People from all over the country, even kids like us, flock to the city for a better life. The bright and adventurous people from cesspit towns like Karuga go to the city.
What's a cesspit?
Poop, Claude. Remember the smell of our street when the council couldn't afford to fix the sewage pipes? Anyway, Claude, if you're really not a scaredy cat, then you'll follow me on my grand plan.
What's that?
We're going to the city. We're gonna leave this hellhole behind and become super rich and super famous in the city. I've already implemented half the plan. I've almost saved up enough for train tickets and a couple weeks' worth of rent. And you're coming with me. There is nothing good that's going to come from staying here, especially with a hothead dad like yours. It's a sister's duty to make sure her little brother gets to experience the best of life.
Hannah.
Hey, what are you crying for?
It's because I've wanted to run away too. I just never thought it would be possible. You always make the impossible seem so easy.
You make it sound like leaving a crappy town isn't as simple as hopping on a train.
Oh, Hannah, you are so idealistic. How old are you guys anyway? Because you look really young in your pictures. Maybe it is.
Anyway, I take it you're on board with the plan then?
Yeah.
Alright. Maybe you're not as much of a scaredy cat as I thought.
I mean, I'm assuming Claude actually must die then. I mean, he clearly didn't come into the city with us after all. Either that or his dad died and that's why he stayed behind. I mean, maybe he blamed us.
Making this plan work is going to take some more steps in planning. So, let's make this spot our meeting and planning spot. Every few days, I'll update you on the progress and maybe give you some tasks to make this plan work. Got it?
Got it. I can't wait to leave here. We're gonna be like those butterflies over there.
Gross! Why are we gonna be like those things?
Because we're gonna fly freely and light up the sky when we become famous and all the stuff in this town will be behind us. We'll just fly away.
Claude. Anyway, stop with the butterfly stuff. You remind me of the lame stories I wrote when I was 7 years old in English class. We're gonna be bright and undying, like the sun.
Yeah, well, I think butterflies are cooler than the sun. We're gonna be butterflies.
Yeah, okay, whatever, butterfly boy.
Rustling leaves and booming footsteps can be heard in the distance. Claude, what are you doing up here? Hannah, you too.
Oh my god, Cairo, leave us alone.
What do you mean, leave you alone? Don't you know how dangerous it is to be away from town at this hour?
We're not little kids anymore, Cairo. I mean, all it is up here is some butterflies. And, oh wait, butterflies and annoying asses, now that you're here.
What the hell did you just say? Say it again and you're gonna get a beating. Dad, what the hell?
Oh yeah, beating up a girl? I'm sure that'll make you feel like a man.
You're right. I shouldn't have said that. You know I didn't mean it. It's just my temper. Sorry. I'm just bored about you guys.
Worried? Maybe you should worry about yourself first. Spending our day protesting and making a mess of the town.
Hey.
Huh. Meanwhile, Claude has to wear worn-out shoes and dirty clothes. When are you going to move on? Get a job and start providing for your son, huh?
If our movement succeeds, the mines will be reopened, and I'll be back to earning like I used to. If not, they'll be giving us and the town a huge paycheck to ensure we can continue to survive. It just takes time, and the protests are key to making sure our goals are achieved.
You've been saying that for the past year, and nothing has happened.
I know. But I feel like the progress we've made means something. Not just for us, but for the struggling workers across the world.
It's like you're in a cult.
You'll realize when you're older that being cynical about everything and belittling others does nothing good for you or anyone around you. Especially those important to you. Yeah, but to be fair to Hannah, it sounds like your protest isn't actually achieving anything. And by the way, Hannah described the town as like a cesspit. It seems very tiny. It's almost impossible that the protests that go on there will have repercussions across the world.
You make it sound like there's no basis for what I'm saying. How about you look at some of the drawings Claude made recently?
Hannah, don't! Claude, is that... I didn't know it was affecting you this way. Hannah, these drawings...
That's why I'm showing you. I don't want Claude to go through what I did. Some of it was unavoidable, but it could have been much easier to cope with if someone had...
I know, I should have done more. I'm your uncle after all. I don't want to remember all of these things. All of these regrets. Look, you guys, I know, with everything that's been happening, I haven't been able to play the role I need to play in both your lives. As a father and an uncle, I've made a lot of mistakes. And I continue to make them. Okay, I think I see where this is going now. So I'm guessing us showing you the drawings is basically going to be what instigates Cairo to go back into the mines, which probably results in his death. And that would explain why Claude never came with us, if he blames us for his father dying. But just remember that searching for you two today is just me, I guess, trying to make up for the things I forgot to do before. And maybe it makes me overdo things sometimes. I know, you're growing up so quickly, and hanging out up here isn't something to be too concerned about. I promise to do better. Let me start with... How about we have a family dinner tonight? I'm sure you guys are gonna stick a canned pork and beans. I'll borrow some money, somehow. And you guys can get your favorite foods.
Really?
Yeah.
Get Cairo to get what you want, Claude. You're still growing. Don't worry about me.
You're still growing too, Hannah. I don't know what I want to eat, though. So much to choose from. Well, keep thinking and tell me later tonight. In the meantime, you two, come with me. Let's head back home. I mean, it definitely sounds like our dad is out of the picture at this point. The three of them walked back to town. Later that night, Garuga Mine main site. Cleaning up some mess kids made earlier. I swear they don't pay us enough for this. Garuga Township, B Ward. Crying voices are heard in the distance.
Claude, why are you crying?
Dad didn't show up. He said there was an urgent protest. I'm hungry. I'm so tired of this too. I hate this.
Listen, Claude. I feel like this is a sign for us. It's not the first time Cairo's broken promises to us. But remember, we have our plan. If we just follow the plan, we can put this behind us. Put all the hurt behind us.
I'm sick of being a scaredy cat. I'm sick of having you help me all the time.
Claude, listen. It's my job. You're only a kid. And trust me, you're not a scaredy cat. I'm just joking. You're tougher than I was at your age. Remember that.
Kruger Township Main Square. Open the mines! We will never be divided. Open the mines! Take that, you monster! You'll never take our mine away. Step back! I repeat, step back! Stop resisting! As the protest escalates into the night, a chill spreads across the town. Oh, I'm guessing that was the mine. Kruger Mine main site. What was that?
There's been an explosion at the mine.
The mine collapsed. They said there might be people inside. Oh, so Cairo probably went back to work, right? That's how he was going to pick up extra money to buy them food. So he was the problem, probably the one they heard saying they got to move some stuff the kids left. All of the protesters, including... Oh no, Cairo was at the protest. Huh. Immediately dashed towards the mine. Along with rescue workers, they dig through the rubble to save anyone possibly trapped inside. A sense of doom overtakes everyone in the town. Within the chaos, rumors start to spread. They say they have reason to believe people are still inside. They say it's probably those teenagers who turned the mine into a hangout.
Really? I might know them.
By the way, I really hope it's not one of our own. Please, don't let it be one of our own. After a few hours, a full-scale rescue operation is underway at the mine. Suddenly, a siren blares. Rescue workers on the south side of the mine shout for more help. Someone notices Cairo, who is in the process of carrying gear to the west entrance of the mine. Cairo! Cairo, the person is trapped! It's... Claude! Oh, damn! Okay, so my original idea was right. Cairo drops everything and stares at the ground. Knowing the extent of the damage, it's almost as if he realizes how grave the situation is. After a brief moment, he says nothing and rushes towards the south side of the mine. Meanwhile, a televised broadcast can be heard faintly in the background. 10-year-old boy rescued. Condition critical. I'm not a scaredy cat anymore. Kruger Township Children's Hospital. Cairo and Hannah rush to the hospital. Both of them are speechless, their expressions making them look like ghosts. The entire town is dark and somber as the news spreads. Guilt, anger, and most of all, hopelessness fill the air. So do you reckon Claude went inside the mine just to prove he was brave and not a scaredy cat? Hannah stands silently in the hospital hallway. The sounds of the hospital echo on and on. Claude remains in critical condition. He has burns covering 10% of his body. He is also suffering from multiple fractures and extensive bruising. Most concerning is the possibility of an acute toxic reaction that might occur due to the prolonged compression of his body. All Claude can do is move his eyes a little, or wiggle a couple of fingers. After being stabilized, Claude's family members were allowed to see him. The news is a huge relief at the time. However, there is something about Claude's expression that seems off, as if he knows there is something that needs to be said, something he has to get off his chest. Claude, I just... We're going to get through this, okay? You're going to be fine, just like usual. Claude can't respond verbally. He simply stares intently at Hannah for minutes, while Hannah looks back, crying. After what seems like an eternity, he slowly lifts his fingers. He points to a butterfly mural on the wall, using what seems to be the last of his strength. The vibrant mural depicts a butterfly, one of many colourful and cheerful images scattered throughout the intensive care unit of the children's hospital. Out of all the animals and creatures drawn on the walls, Claude points directly at the butterfly. Hannah watches, unsure of what to make of the gesture. Moments after pointing at the butterfly, Claude shifts his gaze toward the ceiling, his eyes beginning to drift aimlessly. Claude dies a minute later. An undetected blood clot ruptures in his brain, a result of being trapped under the debris for hours. The emptiness Hannah feels in that moment is one she believes she will never recover from. It is as though a part of her has died with Claude, leaving only a hollow shell for the remnants of her soul to occupy. A few days later, historic amounts of rain poured throughout the township following Claude's death. As the funeral took place, the entire crew of miners and their families looked like walking corpses. Extensive investigations were launched at the mine. Authorities from across the country arrived to ensure the truth was uncovered. The news of Claude's death had taken the country by storm, and the media sensationalized it to a point that it was discussed daily. Who needed to take responsibility became the primary question on everyone's minds. However, all the chatter in the greater public was just static to Hannah. At the funeral, all she could do was stare at Claude's tombstone. It felt like the world had warped into a living nightmare. But unlike most nightmares, which involve panic, fear, and intense emotions, this was different. For Hannah, it was a deep nothingness. Even the most brutal night terror couldn't make her feel an inch of emotion. During this time, Cairo's presence was volatile. Since learning Claude was in critical condition, he had started drinking copious amounts of liquor. Many speculated that Claude's death was something Cairo still hadn't fully comprehended. The news that Claude was critically injured, alone, had been enough to throw him into the abyss. An abyss he didn't want to leave. Even during the funeral, Cairo couldn't stop holding a flask in his hand the entire time. The many mourners offered heartfelt condolences, but he didn't react at all. A living corpse. I mean, he probably feels an immense amount of guilt, right? Since essentially if he hadn't broken the promise and gone to the protest, Claude would never have been in the mine, they would have been at home with a family meal. As the days went by, the media circus began to fire up. Soon, in place of sympathy and sadness, came intense anger and a thirst for justice. Not only were the operators of the mine in the firing line, but so was Cairo. Why wasn't he with his child on the night of the protest? Was it his gross negligence? Was it the mine operator's responsibility to look after the children of its employees? The mine operators quickly seized the narrative, implying that the miner's reckless actions had contributed to the tragedy. While they didn't directly blame them for Claude's death, They strongly suggested it was partially their fault. They also insinuated that Cairo had neglected his duties as a father, prioritizing the protest over his son's well-being. I mean, not 100% wrong in that regard. This wave of criticism jolted Cairo out of his alcoholic haze. But what emerged was not the Cairo of before. It was as if a demon had taken his place. A natural manifestation of anger, denial, and sorrow. Emotions pushed beyond what the human sight could bear. It marked the beginning of a downward spiral with no end in sight. What are you looking at? Yeah? Keep walking, loser. Cairo became notorious for picking fights with random people throughout the town. I'll take any of you! You're scum! I'll beat the living crap out of you! Meanwhile, Hannah was left completely isolated. The only real parental figure in her life had turned into a monster. Screw all of you! The entire atmosphere left Hannah trapped in a corner, unsure of what to do. Her parents were entirely disconnected from the situation, and from her life, as they had been for the past 5 years. Their days were consumed by alcohol and violence. All they did was keep a roof over her head and provide canned foods for her to eat. It was all reaching a boiling point for Hannah. She knew that if she stayed, she would become a monster like Cairo, but deep down, she suspected she already was one. Regardless, she packed up everything she had. With the little money she'd saved, she left for the city. The path ahead consisted of years of struggle and poverty. Hannah had to do whatever she could to survive, which eventually led her to the loan sharking business. Give me the money or I'm kicking your head in! You think I won't do worse? I mean, I understand, Hannah, you're in a desperate situation. But still. I mean, at that point, that was a few years ago, right? Are we not in a situation where we can now leave the loan sharking business and do something more moral? I mean, I suppose we're now in a situation where we're comfortable in where we are and wouldn't want to give it up. Slowly but surely, the Hannah of before was being overtaken by something else. Soon, everything that had happened with Claude began to feel like it had never happened. But a part of her would never forget. After her episode, Hannah eventually musters the strength to crawl to her bed and fall asleep. This wasn't the first time she'd had an episode like this and needed to rest. After an hour or so, the doorbell rings. Hannah begrudgingly gets up and walks to the door. She looks through the peephole. Is that Cairo? It's been years. Could it really be him? Hannah's repression of the events in her hometown has made it hard for her to recognize faces and objects associated with her trauma. Pictures of her family, old school photos, they all appear distorted and obscured when she looks at them. If she stares for too long, panic sets in. Hannah looks through the peephole again, quietly. Though the figure is blurred, she can just tell it's Cairo. He looks battered and tired. It's clear he hasn't been taking care of himself. Should I open it? Maybe it's better to leave the past in the past. I don't want to revisit all that stuff anymore. I've moved on. But how did he find me? Maybe it doesn't matter. You know, it'd probably be healthiest if you don't let him in and ignore it. But I'm curious what the hell he wants. Answer the door, Hannah. Hannah slowly opens the door. Cairo looks stunned, but then an overwhelming sense of relief washes over his face. Tears begin welling up in his eyes as he intently looks at Hannah. Hannah, you're alive! Why isn't anything coming out of my mouth? I've been looking for you for years. Years! Haven't you noticed all the mail I've sent you? Something clicks within Hannah. It's as if she's ready to slip into the role of her younger, more innocent self. But just as that feeling starts to take hold, a wall comes crashing down in her mind. Oh, those letters were from you, huh? Well, looks like you found me. I assume you want to talk, so come inside. Cairo, a bit bewildered, seems to understand Hannah's cold response. They head towards the living room. Cairo notices the mess caused by Hannah's earlier episode. Oh, don't worry about that. Just tripped on a power cord. I would have tidied up if I knew I was having guests. I see. Anyway, make yourself at home. Want a drink? A snack? I'm alright. Thanks. Suit yourself. I figured maybe you'd want a beer. Or two. I mean, last I remember, you were chugging cheap vodka like it was nothing. Cairo doesn't react to Hannah's words. He looks as though he'd expected her reaction. He slowly takes a photograph out of his pocket and places it on the table. This is a photo of you when you were younger. These past years, I've been going to every sector in the city asking if anyone had seen you. I didn't think today would finally be the day I'd find you. Hannah, I've been worried sick. I know that. Worried about what? There's nothing to worry about. I mean, there's a whole lot of work for you. Did nothing. Unlike some people, I actually have a job. I've actually got my crap together. I'm earning, I'm independent, and I'm no burden on anyone. With that alone, I'm leagues ahead of anyone back at home. I mean, look at this apartment. It's not much, but I bought it myself. In cash. Yeah, no handouts for me. No drinking away my problems. No being a burden to anyone at all. We'll just choose to ignore the fact that we were in fact drinking our problems away earlier. It's fine, it's beer, it doesn't count, right? So, as I said earlier, there's nothing to worry about with me. Cairo leans back in the chair and looks straight at Hannah. Initially, Hannah takes a step back defensively until she notices a somber kindness in Cairo's eyes. If Claude were here, he'd be so proud of you. The sudden mention of Claude causes Hannah to freeze. The notion that he would be proud of her sends a wave of emotion through her mind. Up until this point, Claude had been a subject Hannah avoided entirely. And it might not mean much, but I'm also proud of you. I know things have been tough for you. I mean real tough. Everything that happened, all the darkness, the tragedy. And I know that you were all alone in it. I should have been there for you. I should have done so much more. But I did the opposite. It's only in these past few years, hitting a rock bottom I didn't even know existed, that I realized that. Cairo points to a large scar on his cheek. He also reveals a set of burns on his arms. Where and how they came about, he doesn't elaborate. Hannah, still perplexed and shocked, doesn't know what to make of the moment. It's been a long time coming, but it's time I say this to you, Hannah. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. Kyra's pleading apology triggers something violent in Hannah's mind. Her earlier perplexity turns into raw, blood-boiling rage. She tries her best to contain it. For now, she holds it together, barely. Don't apologize. It's not your fault. Please, don't talk that way. It's the management behind the mine, the operators. It's always been their fault. And I know I might have been a bit harsh earlier. Whatever happened back at home, its root cause will always be the operators. I know some people find it harder to deal with tragedy than others. Look, Hannah, I understand where you're coming from, but you gotta understand that... Well, let me show you something instead. It took me almost 3 years after Claude's death to even go into his room. And when I eventually did, I felt like It's hard to put into words. So, just have a look. It's the reason I'm here today. The reason I'm alive and looking for you. Cairo takes out a worn notebook and flips it open. It's Claude's diary. Cairo carefully goes through each page, showing Hannah. Hannah's earlier rage subsides as she becomes immersed in the diary. Cairo shows countless drawings Claude made, almost all of them featuring Hannah. The drawings depict them as superheroes, movie stars, or driving huge bulldozers in the middle of the city. The diary entries are odes to Claude's hopes of leaving the town with Hannah. The sheer extent of Claude's admiration for Hannah is on full display. Hannah is left speechless. As Hannah takes a few moments to process Claude's diary, a chill runs down her spine. Something isn't right. Something is very wrong. The emotions from earlier, the blood-curdling anger and despair, begin to resurface. And this time, Hannah doesn't think she'll be able to contain them. You see, Hannah, it's this notebook that finally made me realize that it's such bull. He should have never died. He should have never. The mine operators, the smoke management, I can't. I'll never forgive those monsters. They killed Claude. They freaking killed him. I'll never forgive them. I want to freaking kill them all. All my pain is all their fault. All our pain is all their fault. Hannah, please stop. Stop it. Please, stop torturing yourself like this. I can't stand to see you in so much pain. Stop? What do you mean? How deluded do you have to be to not be angry like this? It's your own son, my family. Where's your rage? Cairo abruptly gets up from his seat and puts his hands on Hannah's shoulders. He stares deep into her eyes, as if he's about to tell her something he's been holding on to for years. Hannah, listen to me carefully. Calm down for a minute. Hannah, I forgive you. Hannah, I know it was an accident. I forgive you. Forgive? Forgive me for what? Wait, were we there? Wait, we were speaking to Claude just before the scene with the mine collapse. Were we in the mine when it came down, or just before it came down? I mean, that would explain why we've done everything we can to suppress the memory. I can't breathe. I'm going to die. Hannah, relax. I know what you're going through. Here, hold on to my hand. I went through this countless times with Claude too. So this was why your room was a mess earlier. Never mind that, just hold on to my arm and loosen up as much as you can. Cairo gently guides Hannah to slow her breathing and calm down. He quickly grabs one of Claude's drawings of Hannah from the table and puts it in front of her. Look, Hannah, you meant the world to Claude. And he was right to feel that way. You were his protector, his mentor. And look at what you've been able to achieve, all on your own. He was right. You're a fighter, Hannah. How could I not forgive someone so brave? Of course I can. Stop tensing up again. Listen. All is forgiven. The light I saw in Claude's eyes is the same light I've always seen in yours, Hannah. A light so bright and powerful. A light that would have done anything to save Claude. Hannah's panic starts to dissipate, finally. I know what happened on that day. I know it was just a freak accident. You might not have realized, but I'd caught on to you and Claude's plan to leave for the city. I knew that as a teenager, I would have been prone to doing something rash to fulfill a plan like that. I was aware of you and your friends hanging out inside the mines, ignoring our warnings. And I also knew just how fragile and dangerous the mine had become. After all, it hadn't been operational for months. I knew that if someone wanted to make it collapse, it wouldn't be difficult, especially if they were familiar with the inside. That's the reason I was following you guys around so much. I didn't want you to get hurt or do something dangerous inside the mine. Of course, that was only when I had time away from organizing and attending the protests. I know now that prioritizing the protests over you two was one of the reasons why that happened. I broke Claude's trust with my broken promises, my absence for too long. And that fateful night was the final straw. Cairo. When I rushed to the mine site, I saw you with one of the first on the scene. You were already digging through the rubble when I arrived. At the time, no one knew if anyone was inside, but you were frantically searching, as if you knew it was someone important to you. Later, I overheard you talking to Claude in the hospital. It was just the two of you in the room alone. I'm so sorry, Claude. I didn't know. I told you not to follow me. Please wake up. Please. It was then, when it all clicked. I knew Claude always followed you, often without you realizing. And that night was no exception. It was dark, emotions were high, and Claude was getting better and better at sneaking around without you noticing. There's no way you would have noticed him. And when the government's report on the accident came out, it confirmed my suspicions. The report stated the cause was likely an act of vandalism, done in a highly irregular and amateur fashion. Of course, it didn't pin the blame on us, or the operators either for that matter. But putting it all together, I knew it had to be you, Hannah. After seeing that I let Claude down yet again, I could tell you had enough. I realized that was the night you were going to shut the mine down for good, to force an end to countless months of protest and instability, to finally realize you and Claude's dream of moving to somewhere better. You knew all this time? Yeah, Hannah. won't lie. I was stricken with an all-consuming rage for a while. I'm sure you remember very well how I spiraled out of control. But that anger wasn't solely directed at you, Hannah. It was directed at everything. The entire situation, the hopelessness of it all. The lack of control I had, the regrets I carried. It turned me into a monster. It took me years to climb out of that hole. And believe me, I paid the price for that time in my life. I learned a lot of lessons the hard way. Things I'll probably never be forgiven for. It all started to change when I finally went into Claude's room. And I saw all of his drawings. His hopes, his dreams. But most importantly, I saw you, Hannah, in his notebook. That's when I realized that Claude lives through you, Hannah. And that to make things right, I needed to find you. I needed to find you and make things right. Knowing how much you loved Claude, I knew you were living a life of torture and misery, clinging to all that guilt. I couldn't stand the thought of it, and that's why I spent years looking for you.
Cairo, I'm sorry. If it weren't for me, Claude would still be here. I'm so sorry.
Cairo embraces Hannah. I forgive you, Hannah. It's okay now. Hannah continues to sob. With each teardrop, it feels as though a small dent is being made in the fortified and distorted walls of her mind.
Do you really forgive me?
Yes, Hannah.
Are you sure?
Yes, Hannah. I forgive you. Slowly but surely, Hannah feels as though a huge weight has been lifted off her shoulders. She experiences a mental clarity, a purity she thought she'd never feel again. After reconciling, they chat throughout the night until dawn. To her surprise, Hannah notices the distortions that had plagued her for years are beginning to fade. Cairo starts to look like how she remembered him before the accident. However, Hannah also knows there's still a long road of recovery and self-discovery ahead of her to truly find peace. But at least now, she can look towards the future with open eyes.
I feel like a new person, as if I've been given a second chance. But this doesn't change the fact there's still a lot of unfinished business. Cairo, there's still a lot of things you don't know about me, especially how I make a living, how I've been surviving out here.
Don't apologize for surviving, Hannah.
I know, but it's not that simple. I feel like I've neglected my family back at home, abandoning them for so long.
But didn't we say that Cairo was basically the only family we had? We said our parents were basically drunk and neglected, right?
At the same time, I feel like I have a duty to let the truth be known. Nobody has taken responsibility for the mine accident. There's been no closure. But I know if I come clean about everything that happened, it'll damage the reputation of our family and the other miners back at home. It'll cement the fact the mining operators weren't to blame for the accident and all the ramifications that they may have.
I know what you mean. But remember, the accident was just the climax of a long history of neglect and exploitation by the operators. There's a reason why a young kid could make it collapse. The mine wasn't properly maintained. Safety violations were through the roof.
I know, but the truth is the truth. I made it collapse, and regardless of the history, there's a duty to come clean.
Wait, do you reckon if she comes clean, that's gonna mean, like, all the payouts the government was planning on giving are gonna be stopped? You don't have to do that, Hannah. we can just move on from all this. Start a new chapter. Forget the miners back at home. Forget coming clean to the authorities. We can finally rekindle our relationship and make Claude proud by being the best versions of ourselves, fulfilling his wish of living a better life. It's about letting go, forgiving and letting go.
Moving on, huh? It does sound nice to finally start a life without all this anguish. I could quit my job and do something helpful for this rotten society. Maybe I could go back to school. Maybe I could work towards preventing what happened to us from ever happening again. But the family, the miners, and what about the truth? This incident will never be put to rest without someone coming out and saying what really happened.
Sometimes there are no right answers, Hannah. But this is your decision to make. I'll support you no matter what. I know you'll do what you think is best. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure what's the best path in this situation. So, I mean, we could confess, like you said, everything we put to rest, the answer will be finally out there. But does anything really gain from the truth coming out there? I mean, like I said, people might get screwed over by the reparations being cancelled. It's not going to bring Claude back. And by the sounds of it, there was no real consequences for anyone else involved. So we could just not confess and move on. I mean, if our guilt really doesn't let us do that, we could just confess to the family. At least then they get closure, and they are the ones directly associated or involved in the situation. You know, I'm just going to confess to the family. I don't see anything to gain from confessing to the police at this point. Hannah decides to return to her hometown, determined to face her past and the consequences of her actions. She knows she needs to confess to her family that she was behind the mine accident. She catches the night train back to her hometown, arriving at dawn. Everyone gathers to welcome her, having not seen her for years. Once the initial pleasantries are over, a serious discussion begins. Honestly, I'm still not entirely sure, like, who's there in our family. Like, I was under the assumption that our parents were not involved, really, and it was just Cairo. And he already knows. Hannah starts by reiterating the importance of family and expressing deep regret for losing touch with everyone since the accident. She explains that her decision to cut contact was entirely related to the accident. From there, she mentions that there's something about the accident she needs to confess. She admits her role in triggering the mine collapse, going into great detail about the reasons behind it. The room falls into complete silence as she speaks. When she finishes, some storm out of the house immediately, while others stand frozen in disbelief. Cairo watches everyone closely, ready to protect Hannah if anyone acts rashly. After giving the family some time to process, Cairo steps in to share his perspective. He explains his own role in the events and recounts how he was able to reconnect Hannah. The initial shock and disbelief begins to soften, but the tension remains thick. It takes a few days for everyone to process the confession. Gradually, the family starts to focus more on the broader context of the accident, the mine operators, their negligence, and their greed. The narrative within the family begins to shift away from blaming Hannah. Hannah was pushed into the corner. She was young and made mistakes, but her heart was in the right place. This never would have happened if the operators had kept the mine safe and operational. The family, except for Cairo and Hannah, decide to pin the entirety of the blame on the mine operators, and in doing so, rekindle their relationship with Hannah. Within the family's evolving narrative, Hannah becomes a tragic heroine, and Claude is remembered as a martyr who died striving for a future free from the oppression of the mine operators. As these new family stories take shape, an old familiar hatred toward the mine operators is reignited. The family agrees to keep the truth of the incident a closely guarded secret. At the same time, they decide to restart the protests. Oh, okay, I picked a bad option. Oh, does the family not understand that stopping the protest was pretty much exactly what Hannah wanted to do by destroying the mine? They don't seem to have understood the moral of the story here. Even though the mine has been closed for years, the protests are reignited, with a resounding cry from the operators to take responsibility for the accident. In the face of this chaos, Hannah distances herself once again. You see, now we've reached the point where I kind of do need to confess to the police, because they're trying to actually get the operators to take blame again. And I mean, yeah, they do have some responsibility, like I said, they were neglecting the mine. But again, we did trigger it. She's relieved to see Kyra also stepping away from the renewed turmoil. Hannah feels a great sense of relief after telling the truth. However, a deep melancholy sets in. She has simply restarted the same cycle from years ago. Is she responsible for any new pain and trauma within her family because of her confession? Maybe the pain is necessary for justice. Maybe fighting the good fight is better than standing for nothing at all. But what would justice even look like for a situation like this? These questions linger in Hannah's mind, but before they are allowed to fester and corrupt her, she's finally able to confide in someone else. Cairo. You know, I am seriously regretting confessing to the family now. It's really not had the desired result. I was hoping we'd all get closure, we'd all move on together. That's clearly not happened. Although Cairo doesn't have definitive answers, having someone to talk to brings Hannah a profound sense of relief. For the first time, she feels like she has someone she can trust. Someone who truly understands struggle and what she's been through. Since they are back home, Hannah and Cairo decide to visit Claude's grave together. As the light shines in the distance, they pay their respects to Claude. Standing by his grave, Hannah feels a measure of peace about her decision to confess. Though the recent developments within her family trouble her, visiting Claude's grave strengthens her resolve. Hannah realizes that to honor the bond she had with Claude, she must also respect the bond she has with the rest of her family. And the first step in doing that was coming clean. Without trust, there's no point in calling each other family, whatever the cost of that trust may be. We should not have confessed to the family. You know, maybe it would just be better then for us to just go on with our life without confessing to anyone. I mean, like I was saying, I don't think anyone really gains anything from us coming clean about the situation. Like, it's already over and done with for years. By the sounds of it, no one in particular had any massive consequences for the accident. We're not going to confess again. So no confession, just move on. Hannah contemplates everything that has happened up to this point. The cycle of anger, hatred, bitterness, and hopelessness. She compares these to the light she glimpsed through Cairo's forgiveness. Hannah realizes that her journey towards self-forgiveness and self-acceptance is just beginning. She also understands that reopening old wounds, whether with the family or the authorities, could reignite patterns of trauma and destruction. Instead, Hannah commits to achieving inner peace, first and foremost. She also commits to rekindling her relationship with Cairo and continuing to make Claude proud by working hard and making a positive difference in the city. Hannah decides to quit her job as a loan shark and go back to school. She realizes that there's still a lot of self-growth that she needs to attain. Nevertheless, she carries Claude in her heart and Cairo by her side, beginning her journey one step at a time. There we go. You can say that was the nicer ending. I mean, we didn't really engage protests, which is good. I'm wondering though, if we do confess to the police, are we even going to get sentenced to prison? I mean, after so long? It's finally time. We must confess to the police. Hannah reflects on her journey, recognizing the importance of coming clean and revealing the truth. The truth is the truth, and for better or worse, Hannah feels she has the duty to society to be honest. After all, unimaginable pain and suffering came as a result of the mine closures and the accident. By telling the truth, an avenue towards some sort of closure might be possible for everyone involved. Hannah heads to the police headquarters with her confession in hand. The officers are perplexed and confused at first, but after reading her written confession, they start to understand the gravity of what she is revealing. Several senior officers begin making frantic phone calls. Meanwhile, Hannah is escorted to an interrogation room. In the interrogation room, Hannah reiterates what she said in her written confession. Her statement is recorded in detail, covering everything that happened on the day of the accident. By the end of the confession, the officers look deeply troubled. To Hannah's surprise, she is not arrested. Hannah is free to leave. A few days later, Hannah receives an unexpected phone call. It's the chief of police. Interestingly, he wants to meet her, but not at the police station. He suggests a casual meeting at a local cafe. Hannah is ordered to keep her lips sealed about the meeting. The day of the meeting arrives, and the chief, dressed casually in a t-shirt and jeans, greets Hannah warmly. With a stern yet friendly demeanor, he explains the situation to her. Ultimately, the chief tells Hannah that the police have decided not to bring the incident back into public spotlight. Regardless of the validity of Hannah's confession, he explains that public opinion has shifted strongly in favor of the miners over the years. He adds that even if her confession were made public, it would likely be disputed. Confidence in the police has eroded since the accident, and anything perceived as absolving even a small amount of responsibility from the operators or the authorities would be outright rejected. In all likelihood, Hannah would be seen as someone manipulated by the police to make a confession at best, or as a bootlicking traitor to the miners' cause at worst. Even if the public believed her confession, the optics of the police framing Hannah, a young girl at the time, as the main culprit would be highly divisive. The chief places a hand on Hannah's shoulder and commends her for doing the right thing. However, he states that the incident will remain as it was, buried in the past. Hannah is free to move on. After the meeting, Hannah begins to feel unburdened by the accident. She feels as though she has done everything in her power to reveal the truth, and indeed, she confessed to the authorities. It is no longer a personal secret. However, a bitter taste lingers in her mouth. She feels as though justice has been sidelined for the sake of public perception and personal agendas. It's not the truth that is important. It's the effect that the truth has on everyone else that is important. Hannah calls Cairo to tell him what happened. In doing so, she feels a deep sense of relief to finally have someone to confide in. Cairo reassures her that she did the right thing and reminds her that it's out of her hands now. She doesn't need to feel responsible for the warped machinations of society. They decide to meet the following week to commemorate Claude's passing. Although achieving justice for society as a whole seems like a Herculean task, they come to a realization: justice doesn't have to be grand and domineering. The most important justice they can offer for Claude lies in the actions moving forward. After all, if Claude were here today, what would he have wanted? So actually going to the police was the best possible outcome then. I mean, it helped us clear our conscience, but we also didn't get punished for it. So I'm assuming that if we don't answer the door at all, that's going to be like our worst possible ending, since we won't even have any sort of closure with Cairo. So we just ignore it and go back to bed. The doorbell rings multiple times throughout the night. Ultimately, a loud thud is heard right outside the door. Damn, another wrong lead. Maybe it was the apartment next door? Cairo never shows up again, and Hannah continues living as she always has. However, she still has regular instances of seeing butterfly hallucinations, as she always has. At the same time, her panic-ridden episodes come and go, as they always have. Opening the door of the past is always tempting, but some doors are better left closed for good. For better or for worse. In this situation, it was definitely for worse. Well, I hope you enjoyed your time here. If you did, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. And have a spooky day and I'll catch you next time, guys.